Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Dream Team Professor podcast. Today we're going to be going over the results from the European fixtures that took place this week, and then we're going to be identifying the teams and the players with the best fixtures in October. So let's get started. So starting with Liverpool, they got a 2-0 win against Rangers at Anfield. This was their first clean sheet since I think the Everton game, where it was 0-0. But Trent got a goal in this one, direct from a free kick, and Salah found the mark as well. That was from a penalty, this one. So that's, well, both the players that we were all talking about potentially removing from our team have given us something to think about now. So yeah, it's still not quite where we wanted it to be. So Salah, you'd have expected still. He got an assist in the last game and then a goal in this one. But if I told you they had sort of Rangers in the first game and Brighton in the game before that, I think we would have expected more in total, but it's definitely an improvement. And then Darwin Núñez, I put a note down for him. So he had 5 shots in that game, 4 on target. A lot of them did seem like they were sort of straight at the keeper, but he seems to be getting in those good positions to score goals. I do think it will come eventually, but yeah, it just seems like one of these players that does need quite a lot of chances to find the back of the net. Not like he doesn't have that sort of clinical finishing like Haaland does, but not many do, I suppose. But it reminds me a little bit of what Salah was doing. He wasn't, I mean, he was clinical, but it was taking quite a lot of chances for him to score goals. So if they keep making them chances for Núñez, I don't see why he's not going to start scoring soon. So yeah, he could be one to watch going forward. And I put a note down for, this probably doesn't mean much to many people, but Harvey Elliott was benched again. He was one of the ones that I thought could be quite a value pick. He was about 2 mil, but I think this morning he's just gone down to 1.8. But yeah, that's enough of him for me. I think I'm going to move away from him and try and move elsewhere for him. One thing I did note as well, I watched a video with his name's JJ Ball. He's got a big like YouTube and channel on Twitter as well, but he shares the tactic videos, and they just showed that there was kind of a new not formation, but a new build-up formation that Liverpool had when they had the ball, and they were starting with Trent a bit deeper, almost as a back three when they start with the ball, but the rest of the team were pressing high, and it looked like he was just getting, it stopped them getting counter-attacks so often, which was what was happening at Brighton and some of the other games. But also with the other players pushing forward, it gave Trent a bit more time on the ball, and he was quite good in the build-up on that game. So it just depends whether or not, we can keep an eye on it, but it just depends whether or not it's going to mean he gets even more crosses into the box and more touches and more build-up, or whether it means he actually plays a bit deeper and he's not so involved. But yeah, he did get a goal in this one, so I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about. And of course, he got 17 points in this game. He got the star man, goal, and obviously the 7 rating and clean sheet. So yeah, good game for him in this one. If you kept faith with Trent and Salah, that one paid dividends for you. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had on this one. I think it's still a bit difficult with Firmino and Jota. I think both got on, but yeah, it's not someone that I'd like to pick. But Tsimikas as well was another option that quite a lot of people chose as a cheaper alternative while Andy Robertson was out. But he got the 7 rating and a clean sheet in this one, so he could still be a good pick going forward. Frankfurt Spurs was the next game, and this was a 0-0. Conte's playing very defensive football at the minute, and it's working out. I mean, it didn't work out against Arsenal, but it's working out overall fairly good for the defensive assets and the keeper there. I had Emerson Royale in quite a lot of my teams, and he managed to start this game and get the clean sheet, so that actually overrid the red card that he got and the minus points. So I think he finished on 0 points for the 0 points for the week on that one, and he didn't get a price decrease in the end, so that was quite good for me. But I'll still be getting him out because he's going to be suspended for, I think it's 3 games for the straight red, so you'll be wanting to get him out your team. Hugo Lloris as well. I still think he's probably the best option really if you're looking for a defender now. You've got Sessegnon there who did get the clean sheet points, but you've also got, I think I saw Eric Dyer limped off the coach in a video, so I probably wouldn't be picking him going forward until you know what his injury status is, and he's quite expensive too. And then Ben Davies and Langley. I just don't know just don't know if you want to be targeting the centre backs, but wing backs, Sessegnon gets on, and annoyingly Perisic is not a defender on the game, so I probably wouldn't choose him. But yes, going forward, it wasn't good for Spurs. They had blanks across the board for their strikers or attacking players, and Harry Kane got a yellow card, which was minus points for him. But yes, it's not looking good going forward for Spurs, really, but at least they are keeping those clean sheets in the end. But yeah, it's quite frustrating. I think quite a lot of the Spurs fans losing patience this week, especially with the North London derby result and then a 0-0. It's a good tactic when playing the counter attack and stuff like that. It's quite good when you're getting the points and getting the wins. But yeah, when you're not scoring and obviously losing in the derby game, it can get frustrating. But yeah, overall, I think look out for the. I think Hugo Lloris is still probably one of the better options, and I wouldn't lose faith with the attackers still yet after this. But Kane, yeah, he only got 2 shots on target for this game. So on to Man City 5, Copenhagen 0. That man Haaland's done it again. 2 goals for him in this game. Probably would have got another hat-trick if he'd have stayed on the pitch, but they rested him on, took him off after that. Both Foden and KDB were rested for this game. Don't think they got on the pitch at all, so they'll be starting in the Premier League. But I saw Riyad Mahrez get a game. Seems the forgotten man a little bit in Dream Team this year, but he got a goal from a penalty and got an assist. 15 points was a good one for him. But yeah, I think the saying is always if you pick Mahrez, you've got to stick with him. But I don't know if it really applies this season so far from what we've seen. But good return on this one anyway. Then Julian Alvarez come on, got a goal, and obviously the clean sheets for all the defenders, and that's all. Laporte was back as well in this game, so Laporte and Diaz as the centre-back partnership was pretty good to see back. One person I'm sort of really looking at the minute is Sergio Gomez. He got a 10 in this game, 7.4 rating. I look on live score for my just score updates, and I saw that he got an assist in this game, but it actually wasn't registered on who scored. And the same thing happened to Cancelo as well. He put a cross into Haaland that literally just tapped the defender's foot. It was intended for Haaland, just tapped the defender's foot, counted as a deflection, and he didn't get the assist for that one. So that was a little bit frustrating for some owners as well. But Sergio Gomez, he had 2 shots on target, put 4 fairly good crosses in as well, and I've put him down. Well, I put him down as the Walker replacement. He was 3.7, and he's now increased to 4 mil. I locked that one in just before the Friday deadline, so I'm punting on him to be the left back replacement while Cancelo moves to right back. So I definitely would consider him even at 4 mil. He seems like quite a good cheaper option to get into that City defence, and I do expect that he'd probably get more minutes than Ake at the moment. So yeah, he's one I've highlighted as well. And then Gundogan and Bernardo both still look pretty dangerous in this game, although they only got just a +7 rating. But they could be a cheaper way to get into that midfield for City. But yeah, that was that game. Then on to the next one. So this was Chelsea 3 and Milan 0, and it was finally a clean sheet for Chelsea. I know a lot of people have had these Chelsea defenders in their team, and it's been a while since they've got that clean sheet. And Fofana, who I'd stuck with in quite a few of my teams, finally got a return, got a goal from a scrappy corner. So yeah, was glad to see that he'd got an attacking return, and then not so glad to find out he'd gone off injured with a knee injury. It did look quite a bad one. He was on crutches leaving the stadium. So yeah, obviously stuck with him. He got a good rating in this one. He lost out on star man to Reece James in the end, but 13 points. He got the +7 rating, obviously the goal. But he's going to have to be taken out of your team. I kept him in my team just before the lockout on the transfers, just because he went up in price, so you can transfer him out for a bit more money. But yeah, it's a shame that he won't be sticking around. And then Reece James was just brilliant in this game. He got the goal and an assist, but he looked really on it that game. Definitely someone I'd look at getting in going forward if I can. It's quite expensive, but really out of the... I'd sort of classify Trent, James, Robertson, maybe Cancelo. Reece James does, from a attacking fullback or wing back, he does look like quite a value pick. So yeah, he could be a good one to get in your team going forward. They have got good fixtures, which I'll go on to a bit later. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking at a way to get Reece James in the team. Put a note down. It's a bit of an out there one, but I still think to maybe keep an eye on Kepa. He's kept a clean sheet and he done fairly well in the last game as well. Just quickly check. I can't remember what his price. He's probably gone up now. He's sat at 2.6 million. So if he does, if Potter does decide to keep faith with Kepa, 2.6 million for Chelsea keeper with their fixtures is going to be really good value. It just depends whether or not he's going to bring Mendy straight back in, or whether he's going to give Kepa a chance with new manager. Everyone gets a new clean slate maybe, but we'll see how that one pans out. But I'd still give it another couple of games, maybe another week before maybe taking a punt on that one. I put down Sterling. He got an assist in this game and got a rating. And also Aubameyang got another goal. That's back-to-back goals, but I think he was unlucky really not to get an assist. It was offside, so obviously it didn't count, but he played a really good sort of 1-2 with Mount, and Mount put away a really good goal, but that was disallowed for offside. But yeah, I think if Aubameyang sort of got a goal and an assist in this game, we'd really be sort of looking at him. If he got star man as well, we'd be really looking at him as an option. And Aubameyang, I'll just quickly check that one, just so I'm having to check these because the price changes that just happened this morning. Aubameyang's 4.6 million at the minute, so it's quite a good cheaper option, but obviously those striker spots are quite valuable. But yeah, we'll see what comes from Chelsea going forward. Then on to Europa League games. Man U, it looked like they scraped a 3-2 against Nicosia. I think it was a bit more one-sided than the scoreline looks, but it still is pretty embarrassing considering they played a pretty full-strength side, Man United. Obviously, rotating and bringing Ronaldo on up front, I don't think that really counts too much as not being full strength. But yeah, it wasn't looking too great for them. But the defence just conceding again. The only one that come out of it kind of unscathed really was Delo, that somehow managed to get a 7 rating in that one. And he looks quite good. He was, I think it was 2.6 before the price changes. Somehow it's 2.5 actually now. But yeah, he could still be quite a good option in that Man United defence if you really wanted to go there. But at the moment they're looking quite unreliable for the clean sheets, so I probably wouldn't mess around with their defence. Marcus Rashford got 2 goals, 1 assist in this game, 20 points, which is pretty crazy to be honest. I just had a look as well, and he's now 6th highest scorer in the game for points. That puts him above Kane and Salah as well. So you probably wouldn't have expected that at the start of the season. His price has changed to 4.3 million. So he's another cheaper option if you are looking for him. But yeah, I really wouldn't have expected that, and I still don't think I would like to bring him in, but maybe the points don't lie, so it could still be a good option. Martial grabbed another goal. He is looking really clinical, Martial, but very inconsistent player, so not for me, but it could still be there as an option. And I'll just put down in my notes as well that Anthony, Bruno and Eriksen all got really close to getting a rating. Eriksen was at 6.8, Bruno was 6.9, and Anthony was 6.9 as well, so all fairly close, but didn't quite make the 7 rating cut off there. So a bit disappointing for any of the owners there, but yeah, it didn't look like a great game for Man United really. They got it done, but yeah, they should really be battering that team, to be fair. Then it was a 1-0 win for West Ham away at Anderlecht. That was Bowen's second Star Man award in a row. See a lot of messages on Twitter again criticising the Europa Conference ratings, because Who Scored don't officially give ratings for the Europa Conference League. so they're a bit all over the place, but it doesn't look as bad as some of them have previously. But yeah, Paqueta, I brought him in one of my teams, and he got an assist in this one. He come on off the bench, and Skamaka also come off the bench to get the winner. So he got a 5, didn't quite make the 7, but he only did play about 20 minutes in that game, so I don't think he can be too disappointed. But yeah, Skamaka now has got 5 goals in 11 appearances, which is pretty impressive, to be fair. And coming off the bench, he didn't start, so Antonio started. I think that's pretty clear that Skamaka's going to be starting in the Premier League again now. So yeah, he's definitely one we can look out for going forward, because West Ham are still playing just as many games as the likes of Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, the European games. So Skamaka's up to 3.1 million at the minute, so he's a good budget option if you wanted to get him in there. And they'll be playing quite a lot of fixtures in October. But yeah, the only other thing I put down in this one was there is a lot of rotation, both in goal and in that West Ham defence as well. So Dawson was the only one that started the game, that started at the weekend. But I did see that, I think Emerson come on as a sub, which he came on the sub in both games. So yeah, he's ended up getting 2 clean sheets in this game week, even though he didn't start a games, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, it is what it is. And on to the next game we go. 3-0 Arsenal against Bodo Glimt. This was a really good game actually for Arsenal. I'm probably a bit biased, but yeah, they looked really good actually. It's quite good to see that they're different to the last few seasons. Arsenal are making changes to the pretty much the whole lineup, but they're still playing in a similar way, which I didn't think we could really do in the last few seasons. But the ones that carried on from the Premier League into this game were Gabriel, Xhaka and Martinelli. And that was actually the same 3 that started the Zurich game as well. So it looks like they're the reliable options to play 2 games in 1 week at the moment. So they could be quite good options. But yeah, Martinelli was quite unlucky not to get an assist. I know quite a few people have put him in their team. He got his +7 rating, but he was quite unlucky not to get an assist in that game. He played a good ball to Tierney. Tierney hit the post with a long shot, which Nketiah just come in and tapped away. So yeah, that was unfortunate for Martinelli owners in that one. But yeah, he still got the rating as well. So yeah, Fabio Vieira was brilliant in this game. I haven't checked to see how true it is, so I should probably get someone to take a look to see if it's verified. But I saw someone post on Twitter just to say that apparently Fabio Vieira made 100% of his passes in this game, which was pretty impressive. Then he got a goal and an assist too. The goal was quite an easy one. Gabriel Jesus came on as a sub and with some great dribbling, just passed it straight across the box, and Vieira just tapped it straight in on that one. But overall, it was a really good game from him. He was really direct, putting in loads of crosses, quite a lot of long shots. So if he can somehow break into that first team, I definitely think he is a good option. But he's still quite expensive if you're going to have him just for one sort of Europa League game a week. I probably wouldn't bring him in. But if for whatever reason Odegaard's rested or injured, for example, he's definitely someone I'd get straight on. And then I just put down as well that Saka, Jesus and Odegaard all came on the 60th minute. So that was for Martinelli, Xhaka and Marquinhos. So yeah, Saka, Jesus, they're still getting minutes even in the Europa League. It wasn't a long period of time, but it was enough for Gabriel Jesus to get the assist. So yeah, it's definitely worth picking those players. We weren't sure whether they'd get much action in the Europa League, but yeah, still getting some minutes in that one. Then just going to move on to some team updates now. So yeah, I was a bit downbeat with my top team last weekend, but it's managed to jump from 100k to 75k, which isn't good, but it does go to show in just sort of one round of European fixtures you can gain quite a lot of places. So don't just get disheartened if your rank isn't where it needs to be. Got 87 points this game week, and that takes it up to 478 in total. Yeah, Emerson Royale redeemed himself a little bit there for me. he got the clean sheet and sort of cancelled out his red card points. And then Hugo Lloris done well in that game, so he finished on a 6, even though he was on I think a -2 after the Arsenal game. Fofana redeemed himself for me, getting a goal and the rating, like I said, but he's going to have to be straight out of my team now he's injured. Walker I've taken out already now, so Walker I swapped to Gomez, and I got the price changes would have worked in my favour for that one as well, because Gomez went from a 3.7 up to a 4. Saliba -1, didn't get any minutes in Europa League. De Bruyne got rested in the Champions League as well, but he got the 7 points for the 2 assists he got in the last game. Elliott, he's on my list of problems along with Fofana and Emerson Royale. So Royale's obviously going to be banned, Fofana's injured, and Elliott's just a bit pants at the minute. So I'll have to look to move him on soon. But yes, it's going to take some thinking, because I had one transfer left. I've used that, Walker to Gomez. But yeah, it's going to be a bit painful to do Fofana, Royale and Elliott out in the same week. 3 transfers used in the first week, and what's going to be a really busy month. It's going to be a bit annoying to do, because ideally I would have liked to have been planning for the October fixtures and try and get my team looking a bit better, but actually I'm just fighting fires at the minute on that one, so not a great place to be. But yeah, we'll have to deal with it. And then I've got the Kane, Salah, Haaland trio up front. Probably if I had a lot of transfers available and not many problems to solve, I would actually be considering moving Salah out, but I might have to hold fire on that one a little bit, and until I decide what to do with the other players there. Then to my mini league team, this one got 92 points this game week, which is not a bad return actually in the end. Up to 474 points in total, and then this was a jump from 111k from the weekend's games to 84.7. So I'm slowly climbing, but yeah, still in the high numbers at the minute. And I've got the same issues really with this team as I did the last one. Got Emerson Royale, Saliba and Fofana at the back with Lloris in goal. So I'm going to have to get Fofana out and get Emerson Royale out as well, because he's going to have his sort of 3 game suspension. So that's already 2 transfers I'm probably going to have to book in. De Bruyne, Gundogan. Gundogan done alright in midweek, so I probably will stick with those 2 for the time being, because they're not immediate problems. And Buemo, yeah, I might have to stick with him. I'd like to move him on if I could, but we'll wait and see and plan for October. And Paqueta probably done alright really for me this Europa League conference game. Come on and got an assist for us, so he's maybe justified. He's picking a little bit, but it'd have been nicer if he'd have got a +7 as well to go with that. 2 points for him across the 2 games. And then I've got the same front 3 again in this team. So I've got Kane, Salah and Haaland up front. So yeah, the main ones I'd probably look to move in this one. I've obviously got Fofana and Emerson Royale as the 2 that I need to change straight away. But probably Paqueta and Buemo and Salah, they're the ones that I'd probably look to play around with to try and get strengthened elsewhere. I've been toying with the idea of moving possibly Salah to Cancelo at the back just to get the City defender in. But it has made me doubt it just a little bit now. He's got a goal and an assist. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Right, now moving on to the October fixtures and the best players / teams to target. I'm going to make this into a slightly shorter video as well, just so you haven't got to go over all the results just to get to the good bit. But on to the October fixtures. So we'll have 5 transfers to last us up until the 4th of November. So that's game week 9 to game week 13. All the clubs that are competing in Europe will have 8 games to play in 4 weeks. So they'll be playing sort of 2 games a week, apart from Man City, who will only have 7. And that was just because they were due to play Arsenal in the league. But Arsenal got a fixture rescheduled with PSV. So City have got a blank in that game week, so they're only on 7. But yeah, all the other European teams have 8, and then compare that to the Premier League sides. They'll all have 5 games. It's just the non-European sides. They'll all play 5, and their double comes in game week 10. So what I've done is I've just looked at the fixtures for the European teams, because I just think that playing 8 games is just going to be so valuable for these sides. So I've brought up the fixtures for these European sides, and then I've put them just in order of who I think's got the best fixtures. So I'm going to start off Man City. Although they've only got the 7 games, I still think, looking at their fixtures, they're all really good, quite good ones for them. The ones that I identified that would be probably the more difficult ones is going to be away at Liverpool in game week 10, and then obviously away at Borussia Dortmund might be a difficult one, but it wasn't too bad when they played at the Etihad. Other than that though, Southampton at home, Copenhagen away. Again, they dispatched Copenhagen pretty easily. We'll see. Brighton sometimes give City a quite good game actually. That Brighton game at home could be tough, but you just look at all of these fixtures really and think they're all winnable really. Leicester away and Sevilla at home. So I think all of these are pretty good fixtures for Man City. I've put down, so I think Haaland, De Bruyne and Cancelo, the main guys you need to be targeting. I don't know if it's really viable to have all 3. I've seen a couple teams with all 3 and they do look fairly good, but then they're quite weak in other areas. So it's finding a balance. But so I've highlighted them like this. I've said Haaland, KDB and Cancelo are the main ones that you need. I've got 2 at the minute, which is Haaland and De Bruyne. Still got the sort of FOMO of not having Cancelo at the moment, but maybe we can get him covered with a Reece James instead, or potentially a Trent that are a bit cheaper. Other than that, I might have to go Salah to Cancelo, but yeah, it's a tough one to decide. But after that, I've said that Foden and Sergio Gomez are quite good value picks in my eyes. Like I said, I bought in Sergio Gomez already. He's up to 4 mil now, but in my opinion, he'll be the starting left back now with Cancelo at right back. So I think he's really good value. And then Foden as well. I just checked to see what his price has changed to. He's 6 million now at the minute, so he has pushed up quite a bit after that hat trick. But he's still quite a bit cheaper than getting sort of a Haaland, De Bruyne or Cancelo. So yeah, if you wanted to try and maybe drop a De Bruyne and go Cancelo, Haaland and Foden, could be doable. But I think if you can get Gomez, he could be a good cheaper way in instead of Cancelo as well. So I'll put them 2 in the sort of like a value category in my opinion. And then real budget, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, they seem to be, I mean, they played in the same team actually in the Champions League game, but they seem to be the ones that are sort of fighting for that extra place in midfield. But both of them do get returns fairly regularly. So that's a budget option to get into that City midfield in my eyes. And then I've just put ones to watch because I'm just not sure. I'm quite confident about Sergio Gomez getting the left back slot, but that other centre back role, you've got Diaz, but then you've got Akanji and Laporte, who are quite good value if you can get the right one. But Laporte's just come back from injury, and Akanji's sort of been in and out, but he's been good when he's been in. But I do think those 2 might rotate quite regularly, and Stones is out, so they could be cheap ones if you can find that one's playing regular. Even sort of like 2 out of 3 fixtures. I think that would be fairly good. But yeah, I've put them on the watch list, but I'd favour Sergio Gomez at the moment personally. But yeah, that's City. I think have probably got the best fixtures. Then I'm saying that I think Arsenal have probably got the second best after that. Again, maybe rose-tinted glasses, but I was looking at these fixtures now, and you've obviously got the Liverpool game first, which is probably the toughest, or is the toughest that we're going to see out of these fixtures. They played a full 8 fixtures, but Liverpool, at least it's at home, but yeah, we never seem to get on too well against Liverpool, to be honest. But once we get that game out of the way, really, they're all winnable games if they carry on the way they're playing. Bodo Glimt, they weren't all that really, but it's away game will be tougher. Leeds away, PSV, 2 tough fixtures against PSV could be a stumbling block, but it's not going to really affect the Premier League points anyway, at least. But yeah, 2 PSV games. I think for those two, we might actually see. I know it's only been 3 of the main Premier League starters playing in the Europa League, but I do think we might draft in a few of the bigger hitters for that PSV game because it's probably going to be playing to win the group, that one. Southampton away, it was a tough game for us last season, but they have been pretty poor this season so far, and obviously we've been much better. So yeah, hopefully we can get a win in that one. And then Forest and Zurich both at home, both look like good fixtures to me as well. So I've put Arsenal as the second best in the fixtures for me. And I've put Saliba, Jesus and Saka as probably the best picks. Saka, I still think we might have expected more from him at this stage, but he's still going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. Jesus has been brilliant. I kind of almost regret bringing him out. I think I ended up bringing Kane in. I think I had mostly Haaland, Salah and Jesus to start with, and I think I bought in Kane in the end. But yeah, I think I probably would have been better off keeping Jesus, but I might try and get him back in maybe for Salah. And then for value picks, I've gone Granit Xhaka, Martinelli and Ødegaard. Xhaka and Martinelli seem to be getting both Premier League and Europa League minutes, so they're really good picks. And Martinelli's a quite cheap option up front if you're looking to get budget elsewhere. He's playing mostly every game now, and he's 3.4 million, so it's still really quite cheap. It's just whether you want to give up that striker spot, but 42 points he's on at the minute. And Ødegaard, I'm not too keen on him myself. Obviously a great player, but as a dream team asset, he did get the goals earlier on in the season, but I still think he's a bit of a pre-assist sort of player. He creates a lot, but he's never quite, like I watched that Fabio Vieira yesterday, and you can just see he's constantly looking to shoot or cross. But Ødegaard's a bit more intricate, always looking to play a bit more nice and not always with that killer instinct. So I'd avoid him, but he is a value option at 3 mil. Then I've just put down Ramsdale and Ben White actually. They're not that glamorous picks, but Ben White, he's just gone up to 3.3 now. But he's playing sort of every game at right back, and he came on and got a few minutes in Europa League. It was actually apparently his first European game ever, so that's pretty good to see him on the pitch. But yeah, he came on and got the clean sheet points, and yeah, it's his place to lose at the minute, I think, at right back. But he obviously offers the option at centre back as well if there's any rotation going on. So yeah, I think I wouldn't get Ramsdale or White as my only Arsenal option. I think I'd always go for Saliba first up because he's of a similar price at 3.1 at the minute. But if you're brave enough to go for the double up, they're one of the two that I'd pick to go with him. And then on to Chelsea. I've done them as third best fixtures. So they've got Wolves at home, which hopefully they can keep a clean sheet in that one because Wolves have been sort of terrible really lately. Got Milan at the San Siro, it'll be a tough game. Then Villa, Brentford, Man United, Red Bull Salzburg, Brighton and Zagreb. So I think there are quite a few games there with maybe clean sheet potential and definitely potential to score goals. So I've put Reece James and Sterling as my top picks really to target from Chelsea. Obviously fairly expensive picks, but both of them do deliver regularly, and they've got good history as well on Dream Team. They always seem to perform quite well recently, so they're my 2 top picks. Thiago Silva's done really well this season, but still in my eyes, I just think he's a bit too pricey for my liking. He's been a bit of a Starman magnet. I think he was tied on the most Starman awards, and he's getting the +7 ratings, but 6 mil now, which I think is going to be more than Reece James. 6 million. Reece James is at 5.6, so I think you're just limited a little bit with Thiago Silva in terms of attacking returns, which is why I'd go for Reece James over him. But if you're getting on the Chelsea train, there could be potential for both of them, but my eyes a bit too expensive. And then just I've put down sort of Aubameyang, Chilwell and Cucurella. I think they're good options as well. Aubameyang has got back-to-back goals now, and he's looking quite good for them. He's bedded in all right. So he could be another option up front if you didn't want to go for sort of 3 big hitters up front. You could maybe drop to Aubameyang. And then Chilwell, Cucurella, I still like them both as options, but the fact that they both kind of eat into each other's minutes a little bit is a bit off-putting. But we'll see. Cucurella could end up getting Fofana's minutes again, playing that left centre-back, and maybe Chilwell will push on. But yeah, I'd still wait a little while and see who Potter seems to favourite out of the two. I do expect Cucurella to be back, though, from his injury soon. And then again, I mentioned it earlier, but Kepa, I think he's one to watch at about 2.6 million, I think he was. So if he can keep that number one spot in goal, Mendy is back in training, but if he can keep the spot and Potter favours him, that's a really cheap way to get into those Chelsea defence. So yeah, I'd keep an eye on that one. Right, on to Liverpool then. So if Liverpool were the Liverpool of maybe last season, I think this would look a lot better, to be honest. So I'm taking that into consideration. But it does look like there's some tough games there. So obviously Arsenal, you would always have favoured Liverpool, and I still think they will be favourites for this game, to be honest. But yeah, Arsenal this season are a sort of different level, aren't they? So I think that will be a tough game for them. And the defence hasn't looked great so far. So Arsenal's attack is looking good. So there might not be a clean sheet in that game. Rangers at Ibrox, I think that should be fine for them. But the Man City fixture is going to be a tough one, obviously. West Ham looking quite solid, but I would expect them to win that and the Forest game. But then Ajax away, it's going to be a tough game, and they've not looked great in the Champions League so far. So Ajax away is going to be not a very nice game. It's not. It's probably quite a hostile atmosphere to play at. So I think that could be a tough game for them. Leeds at Anfield should be fine, but then again, like Napoli at Anfield, obviously they'll have the home crowd, but Napoli really did upset them last game. They looked brilliant, and they've been good this season. So yeah, I think you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tough fixtures in that game in that run for them. So that's why I haven't put them higher up in the table really. But I'd still think reluctantly Trent and Salah are probably the best options there. If you can get on Trent now, I mean, you're going to pick him up for quite a bit cheaper than he was starting the game. But Salah again, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's always historically been so good, but he just doesn't look like he's been on it so far. And the goal, I mean, he had an okay week, but 1 assist and 1 goal from the penalty. It's not been brilliant so far. So I'm going to reluctantly put them there just because they are the key players, but I probably wouldn't go for both. And then I think the more smart picks really is if you're not going to go for Salah, maybe just cover the position with Diaz, because he has looked pretty good, to be fair, going forward. He likes a shot from outside the box, and he's a really good player. Surprisingly good in the air as well. And then I think Tsimikas could be a smart pick as well. I'm not sure how long Robertson's still expected to be out for, but yeah, I think he's about 3.3 maybe. Tsimikas 3.5 now. He's gone up, but still, out of the Liverpool backline, that's still quite cheap. So I think they're the smarter picks. If you're not having Trent, you could go Tsimikas. If you're not having Salah, you could go Diaz if you really wanted to cover it. And I'm just going to say that Darwin is still there as an option, as a bit more of a budget pick. At 4.7 he is now. But yeah, he does look dangerous. He's one of these ones, he does look really dangerous when he's on the pitch, and he gets lots of chances and creates lots of opportunities, but he just isn't quite being clinical enough at the minute. But if you wanted to take a punt on him, I wouldn't be completely against it. Then Spurs, I promise it's not biased. I've put them this low down for good fixtures, but they're not looking great at the minute. They've got Brighton at the Amex, which is it's a tough game. Yeah, on paper it doesn't look too bad, but that is a tough game playing Brighton. Frankfurt, they got the draw away, but they should be able to beat Frankfurt at home, and then Everton at home. But Man United at Old Trafford, you just don't know what to expect from Man U at the minute. They turn up for some of the big games, and then they're poor in the ones you expect them to win. So you're not really sure what to expect from that one. They've got Newcastle and Sporting at home, and then they've got Bournemouth away. Bournemouth away and Marseille away. So they're okay fixtures, but it's more to do with Spurs. How are they going to perform, really? We know that they're going to always be quite tight, but yes, it's whether they can keep finding the goals. They should be able to with Kane, Son and Richarlison. I'm not sure when Kulusevski's back, but yeah, I don't think it's a great run, to be fair. They've got quite a few home games there, but yeah, I'm not completely convinced at the moment. I'd still go with Kane as my top pick, so I've got him in most of my teams. Son, obviously a cheaper option to Kane if you didn't want to go the full expensive route. And then I'd put Hugo Lloris probably as the best defensive option. So he's quite a bit cheaper than some of the defenders, and you just know he's going to play every game as well. Obviously Eric Dyer's out now, potentially with injury. You've got Emerson Royale who's got a 3-match ban. So I think the only other option to get into that defence really is Sessegnon, because he's gone from coming on as a sub each week and taking that clean sheet points, so now he could be starting as well. So I think he's a cheaper option to get in there. And then other than that, budget picks, you could go Richarlison, but I think he's quite a bit below Son and Kane in my opinion at 3.8. I think I'd prefer to go the Martinelli route if you were looking for a cheaper striker, to be honest. But I've put him in there anyway just to take note of. And second from bottom for the fixtures is Man United for me, because I just don't know what to expect from them. And in a dream team, you don't want to be. You could take a punt on a player, but you just don't want to be taking a punt on a team, because we just don't know what they're gonna produce and what team's gonna turn up. I mean, they've done really well against some of the bigger teams, and then they've just been awful in some of the other games. So, yes, I don't think any of their players, in my opinion, are essential at the moment. Rashford, though, sixth highest point scorer at the minute. I said I'm not really sure how he's managed that, but he's ahead of Kane, he's ahead of Salah, so you could maybe consider getting Rashford in. And then I've put Dalot. I'd stick away from Man United defence really, but if you did want to have someone that's going to play 2 games a week and they're in Europe, Dalot's quite a good cheap pick at the minute. And then I'm still not sure with Anthony. I'm going to put him on the watch list, but at 4 million, I think there are some better options out there. But I do like the fact that he does seem to take a lot of shots. He's not scared to get in the box, and he's quite an aggressive player. So reminds me a little bit of maybe Rafinha at Leeds last season. But I quite like those players that are always looking to make something happen on Dream Team. But yeah, for now, I think it's until Man United seem to put some form together. I think I'm just going to leave him on the watch list and not include him. But yeah, interested to see how he gets on. And then West Ham, it's quite a tough one really. I've put them bottom, but again, it's more just where they are at the minute. Obviously they're in Europe, but they're in there because of the Europa League conference. They were looking pretty poor, but they've strung 2 good games together and they're looking a bit more on form. And I'm going to put Bowen and Skamaka as their 2 top picks. Obviously Bowen was really good last season, but he does seem to have found a bit of form now. Back-to-back Starman awards, and he's taking quite a lot of shots and getting involved. So I'd consider him, and Skamaka as well. I mentioned a bit earlier that I think he's got 5 goals in 11 games now, and he's looking like he's finally getting picked for the Premier League games ahead of Antonio. So yeah, I'd put them 2 in my top picks at the moment. I think Kurt Zuma's probably the best budget defender for West Ham at the moment. Kurt Zouma, he's gone up in price slightly. He's gone up to 2.5 now, but I still think for someone that's going to potentially play 2 games a week, he didn't play the last Europa League conference game. But for someone that's potentially going to play 2 games a week and he's guaranteed to start the Prem, I still think that's quite a good price. And then Paqueta, I've put him on the watch list. I've got him in one of my teams, but I'm still not fully convinced. He doesn't seem to be getting the ratings from the Europa League conference games. The ratings are a bit terrible anyway, but he didn't seem to be getting the ratings as much in the Premier League as I thought. But he was a really good assist for Skamaka in the last game. Quite a good little pass over the top. So yeah, I think he's still bedding in, but he could be one to watch going forward because he's still fairly cheap. I'm not sure if he increased. He's gone up to 2.6 in a minute. But yeah, not too expensive for the midfield. If you wanted a cheap midfield option, maybe if you want to downgrade a Kulusevski, for example, he could be an option there, and you've got a bit more budget to spend. But yeah, overall, I think the West Ham fixtures they're probably okay, but it's just whether or not they're going to turn up. Really, they've got Fulham at home, and Anderlecht at home, 2 good games, and Southampton away is not terrible. But then Liverpool at Anfield's not a good one. Bournemouth at home's good. I'm going to murder this, but Silkeborg at home, that's a good fixture. But then Man United away is pretty bad. And then Steaua Bucharest away is probably going to be a fairly tough game if they rotate a lot. So, yeah, some pretty tough fixtures in there, but it's more to do with how they'll perform, because two games playing well is not quite enough to convince me that they've turned the corner yet. But, yeah, we'll see how they get on. So that just about rounds up the episode. So you've just covered the top teams and players to target in October. We've all got 5 transfers to use up until November now. So yeah, use them wisely, because 2 games a week, if you end up getting a few injuries, it's pretty painful to sit there with players that aren't playing. So I would try and hold back from using them unless you've got a few immediate things to do, like in some of my teams where I've got free transfers that I need to use straight away. But yeah, use them wisely where you can. And then if there's any players that you think are good options as well, just feel free to drop a comment on there, and if I've missed anyone out, or if you disagree with the fixtures. But I'm sure everyone's got their own opinion. But yeah, that's how I see it at the minute. They're the sort of players that I'd be targeting. But yeah, hope you liked the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.